This component of your training outlines the code of practice that exists in our church. ACT's Global Church Policy requires that every volunteer and employee of the church is suitably screened. This process is different for each team, but may include a Working with Vulnerable People check, Childsafe training, and/or reference checks. For teams that do not interact directly with children, but have people under 18 serving alongside adults, one or more members of the team must be Childsafe trained so they are fully equipped to maintain responsibility for those children. For teams that do interact directly with children, all team members must undergo Childsafe training. What we do as leaders must reflect that we believe children and vulnerable people are valued and deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. To do this, treat all participants with respect and take notice of their reactions to our tone of voice and manner. Never find yourself alone with a child. Do not enter the sleeping accommodation of members of the opposite gender, except in emergencies. Respect the privacy of situations where children or vulnerable people might be changing, showering, or using the toilet. Where private conversations are necessary, the leader and child should remain visible to other adults in the group. It's important to use language that affirms the worth, dignity, and significance of the participants. Speak to others as people of value. Negative or critical language are to be avoided, even in attempts at humour. Jokes shouldn't be made at the expense of others, as this erodes the sense of safety and care. When speaking, do not use derogatory language towards other leaders or participants, even sarcastically or as a joke. Do not use in-jokes, negative language, put-downs, or sexist language with other leaders or participants. And don't speak down to children or vulnerable people in a condescending way, no matter their age or situation. Physical contact between adults and children may be misconstrued. Children and vulnerable people may not be aware of creating such circumstances. It is your duty to be alert. We must know we are doing the right thing and be seen to be doing the right thing in order to protect yourself and the children in your care. Appropriate physical contact is only in response to the participant's needs. Should be with the child or vulnerable person's permission. Resistance should always be respected. Be open and not secretive. It should consider the age and developmental stage of the person. Touching between the neck and the knees should be avoided. Absolutely no corporal or physical punishment, even in fun. The only form of physical restraint appropriate is to protect a child from harm. This includes reasonable restraint to stop a fight, other physical bullying, or to avoid an accident. What is reasonable and lawful will depend on the circumstances, and appropriate judgment should always be used. Planning and executing a program or activity. It's important that at any point during the planning and implementation process, you are willing to drop an activity if you sense it's not working safely or is making participants feel angry or isolated. Activities with extra challenges will require extra planning and support measures. If you are tasked with planning an activity and feel that you don't know how to fully support the needs of all the children in the program, ask your leader to help you plan. When planning, take into account age appropriateness and have clear boundaries and rules to ensure participants can engage in activities safely. People with special needs may include very small children, people with particular intellectual, mental, or physical disabilities, people with autism spectrum disorder, and those with other particular needs. As with all children, it's important to be inclusive of children and vulnerable people with special needs. This means seeing that each person has the willingness to learn and the need to be valued and included. At times, you may have access to private information, including medical history, participants' personal details, date of birth, address, etc. You must not share this information publicly or retain it for personal use without explicit written consent.